When did you realize America doesn't really care about serving its people? I got a frantic call from my cousin on my day off saying, please come now. The owner called ICE on me. I raced over to the restaurant where we both worked to find the health inspector had shut it down for a food poisoning outbreak, and the owner was claiming my cousin did it intentionally. My cousin Miguel had been working at that restaurant for 3 years. He worked 14-hour shifts, washing dishes and working the grill for $9 an hour. The owner paid all the immigrant workers under the table like this, but Miguel never complained because he just wanted to support his wife and 2 kids. When I got there, Miguel was exhausted and struggling to explain in broken English what happened. He kept showing his punch card to anyone who would look. It proved he left work before the contaminated batch was even prepared. He grabbed my arm and begged me to translate with tears in his eyes, saying, solo trabajo, tu sabes. But the owner kept dismissing the alibi and claiming Miguel snuck back in after hours to poison the food. Things got worse fast. The restaurant security footage was mysteriously corrupted for that exact time period, so the health department shut everything down pending investigation. The owner fired Miguel immediately and withheld his final paycheck as evidence. The owner's nephew stood in the background smirking while pretending to comfort his uncle. ICE showed up at the restaurant, but Miguel had already fled home in fear. Miguel's family immediately went into hiding and moved in with other relatives. They were too scared to leave the apartment, and the kids missed school for days. They were running out of money, but Miguel was afraid to look for work with the pending investigation. $9 an hour doesn't leave much for savings. Their landlord kept calling about rent and threatening eviction. I brought them groceries and found them huddled together in a dark apartment with the blinds drawn. I knew something wasn't right, so I started digging. I discovered the work schedule showing Miguel left before prep time for the contaminated food. I found the sympathetic sous chef Juan, who confirmed Miguel only worked the grill and never touched the sauce station where the bad food came from. Juan also told me all the immigrant workers got paid $9 an hour cash, while everyone else made $18. We approached the health department supervisor together and got him to review the evidence. He noted the owner's nephew was working at the sauce station that night. The owner confronted me the next day. He said, "You're choosing them over your own job?" When I refused to back down and said I would prove Miguel's innocence, he fired me on the spot, telling me to get out. That evening, ICE arrived at Miguel's hiding place because the owner had given them the address. They took the entire family to the detention center, including his wife and children. Other undocumented restaurant workers disappeared overnight and abandoned their apartments. The whole community was gripped by fear, with families pulling their children from school. I desperately searched for a lawyer willing to take the case, but the detention center limited visits, and the family was isolated and terrified. Then the cracks in the story started showing. Juan found a receipt showing the nephew bought an ipecac the day before the incident. Ipecac makes people throw up. The security company technician admitted the owner's nephew had asked about camera blind spots a week earlier. The health inspector discovered the nephew had serious gambling debts. The insurance payout for the food poisoning would have covered his debts exactly. I also found the owner's hidden payroll ledger showing years of systematic wage theft. The owner visited Miguel's family in detention through a lawyer. He offered a deal where they would plead guilty and accept deportation quietly, with no criminal charges. He threatened to ensure criminal prosecution if they fought back. Miguel refused, saying, "I did nothing wrong, I work honest." The owner replied, "Honest work doesn't matter if you're not supposed to be here." Everything unraveled when police investigated the nephew's financials and found previous insurance fraud attempts. The nephew finally confessed he added ipecac to make people sick for the insurance money. The owner knew, but blamed Miguel because he was the perfect fall guy. I recorded the owner admitting he hired undocumented workers specifically because they can't fight back, and bragging, "I pay them $9 an hour, they should be grateful." The Labor Department discovered he owed hundreds of thousands in back wages to dozens of workers over the years. The owner was convicted of insurance fraud conspiracy and violating labor laws. The nephew got jail time while the owner got probation and fines. They revoked the restaurant license and issued massive fines for wage theft. But despite Miguel being proven innocent, the deportation proceedings continued. The judge ruled that criminal innocence didn't override the immigration violation. On deportation day, I arrived at the detention center for our final goodbye. Some former customers had sent apology letters that Miguel carried with him. I got hired by an ethical restaurant and promised to send money to help them restart. The family boarded the bus to the airport with the children crying and clutching small bags. At the gate, Miguel turned to me one last time and said, "I don't want to keep serving a country that never wants to serve me."